SuncatByte. In this SuncatByte, we are going to cover if statements. And an if statement is a statement that is based on a relational and or logical expression which evaluates to true or false. So we have a SuncatByte on relational and logical operators. And as I said in that SuncatByte, those tie directly to an if statement. And what happens is we look at that condition and then execute code based on whether that condition is true or false. So the general form of an if statement is going to be this. If some condition then any statements that are inside of these curly braces if the condition condition is true and they are skipped if the condition is false. So that's going to be your general format. Now we can look at an example in a flow chart. Something simple that we would probably do is maybe if you're thinking about a gas tank. Okay, so looking at this flow chart, you come in, you have this decision. Is your gas tank less than 0.25, less than a quarter? If it is, if that's true, then you're going to get gasoline. If it's false, then you're not, and you're just going to say drive safely. So if you look at the if statement here, if gas tank less than 0.25, get gasoline. If not, you don't have to. So then we're just going to have an output of drive safely. So in looking at these if statements, there's a couple things that you want to look at or think about. And one of them is the braces, curly braces, do not have to be on new lines. And even though that's the case, I'm going to suggest that you do put them on new lines, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. But just for completeness sake, this format is also okay. So we have this format here. We could also do something like this. And notice when we do this, this curly brace is not on a new line. It's just on the same line as that gas tank. You could also do something like this. So if there's only one statement to be executed, the braces, the curly braces, are not required. Again, I'm going to suggest that we do use them, but they don't have to be. So you could do something like this. If gas tank less than 0.25, then you can simply have the cout statement. Cout get. That's because there's only one statement. Notice we do not actually have the drive safely statement because there's only one hereafter. That could actually go on the next line. But if gas tank less than or equal to, or less than 0.25, cout get gasoline. All right. Similarly, this could also be done. All right. So, but if there is more than one statement to be executed, here we just have a single cout statement. So if there's more than one statement to be executed, you must use curly braces, or braces which are curly braces. So if it was something like this, since we're getting gas, let's go ahead and wash our windows also. Let's move this down here so it's all part of one piece of code. There you go. So because we have two statements here, you have to have the curly braces. Okay? Some other places are areas where you would use an if statement, right? Just think about general if statements or conditionals. So if I don't pay my child support, then what's the consequence there? This is more like pseudocode, right? My check is going to get garnished. That's a conditional, right? Or if this is for my kids, I don't listen to dad, my older kids, I guess, especially. My cell phone is going to get taken away. Real life stuff, guys. This happens in my house, right? So that's a simple if statement. Now, what happens if you want to check multiple things? Or if you want to do something if the statement's not true? If that's the case, we have something else called an if-else statement. Okay? And in that case, you're going to do something if the condition with the capital, let's say, is true, and something else if the condition is false. General format of that will be this. Well, that looks horrible. So we'll format it. And that's how we want it to look. General. So if the condition is true, you're going to do whatever's in here. Else, you're going to do this. Looking at a flowchart like we did on the other one. So in this case, if a number is greater than 0, say the number is positive. Else, the number is 0 or negative. So here's the flowchart. Is the number greater than 0? Yes, it is. See out, the number is positive. That corresponds to this. Else, the number is 0 or negative, right? Because if this is an implicit else, basically. So it wasn't positive, it's 0 or negative, so you say that, and then you say goodbye down here. Okay? So that's an if and else. What if I have multiple conditions I want to check? And it looks like my Word document is frozen. There we go. Okay, well, let's get rid of that, and then let's go back. So if I have multiple conditions, I want to do that, then I have this thing called the else if. Okay? And the else if is going to look like this. One second here. Here we go. General format of an else is going to be this. Else if is going to be this. So you have your if, condition 1, do this. Else if, condition 2, do this. Else, other statements. Okay, so that's a general format. And here's a flow chart. So if you have this condition true, you're going to do your first set of statements here. Else, if this condition is, if it's false, then you're going to check the next condition. So this wasn't true. Now I'm going to check this one. Is this one true? If it is, I'm going to do this. If it's not, then I'm going to check this third one. Notice you can keep going. We have 3 of them in this case, but you can have a ton of them. So if that's not true, then we'll fall through the else statement. If that's not true, then really, if none of them are true, then we don't get any of that output, and we get goodbye. If one of them is true, say this first one is true, then we're done. We skip these other checks, and we go directly to the end, and then we say goodbye. Something key to note about those as well. Okay, so an example for a student. With the schedule, if today is Monday, this is a string. We have a string lecture, right? SuncatByte. So if today is Monday or today is Wednesday, I go to my C++ class. Else if today is Tuesday or today is Thursday, I go to my math class. So now we've covered Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday is what basically is implied here. I don't go to school on those days, so do not go to school. All right. So a few general guidelines. And one very important one for me is, and I said this earlier, but I'm going to type it now. It is strongly recommended that C++ programmers always use braces to enclose statements in their if and if-else statements. So even if you have the case like we did before, where you just have a single line like this, I still prefer to see it like, and just a general best practice like this. Even though you don't have to have it, do it this way, and you actually, C++ will do an indentation for you, like I just did there with the tab. Let C++ indent for you. And it's just easier to read, so that's really the reason, and it's better style, more readable code. So that's one of the things. Okay? As we said before, it's permissible to not use it when there's a single statement, but I choose you do it. And just stick with the braces. As we said before, control falls to the else statement if nothing is met. So I think I was actually, yeah. Which one was this? This one. In this one, you're always going to have the else to fall back on, right? So if you don't hit any of these else ifs, right, where are we? Here. If we don't hit any of these, you're always going to fall to your else. So you're going to at least hit the else in an if, else. Or in an if, else, right? And then something else that's very key. Oh, okay. So let's just type this first. Control falls into the else statements. Let's make else. If none of the conditions are true. Okay, so if none of them are true, that falls in. So then that means that checking all the possible cases, or checking each case individually, makes extra work. What that basically means is, for this example, we don't have to come in and then say else if today equals Friday, else if today equals Saturday, else if today equals Sunday. Because those are going to all have the same action of do not go to school, we just let it fall to the else statement. And then another thing that's key, using independent if statements is inefficient. We don't want to do that. Okay? The reason for that is it guarantees the program executes or basically looks at each if statement. We don't want it to do that. So a set of if else's is better. So basically, say we have this. A couple different examples here. So no, this example. So you have something like this. If number greater than 0, if number equals 0, if number less than 0. Each of these is going to get executed. It's going to have to check this condition because we didn't do an if, else, right? Similarly, this is also inefficient. If number greater than 0, else if number equals 0, else if, right? You have an extra else if here. And this one does not have the for completeness sake, we will do this. So what you want here is this to just be an else. Like that. This is the most efficient. And the last thing we want to look at is, and this is going to come into play later on as well when we have different looping constructs and switch statements. But we have the concept of something being nested. And all that means is a statement within a statement. So in our case, if statement is part of the code executed inside of another if statement. General format for that will be something like this. There we go. Why is this not getting out of the way? Okay, whatever. So we have the condition 1. If condition 1, first condition, if that condition's met, then we're going to do another check inside in here that says if condition 2, do this. And then you have some other statements, right? So what happens is basically this is just part of the code that gets checked inside of here. If they're both met, then that means this is going to get executed and everything here is going to get executed. If only this is met, then and this one's not condition 2, then only these statements are going to get executed. Anytime condition 1's not met, we're not even checking condition 2, so it's going to go down here. Flowchart example here. So we have a number, we have some kind of number. Is the number greater than 0? No. Then we're going to say it's not positive. That's going to be this outer condition, the first condition. If the number is greater than 0, then we're going to go, now we're inside of here, inside of this curly brace here. So we say it's positive. And then we also say, is the number greater than or equal to 0 and number less than or equal to 10? So is it between those? See out between 1 and 10. And in this case, if it is, it's going to say between 1 and 10. If it's not, then nothing else gets done, right? And we're done. So in this case, we've only got positive. If it is, we're going to get positive between 1 and 10. If it comes in and it's not in this condition 0 or number greater than 0 is not met, we're just going to get not positive. And we're done. That's nested. Okay, couple examples to wrap this up. So this is program 3.1, which is our knick-knack if-else statements. And what we're going to do is we're going to say knick-knack example program with the if-else, including IOStream using namespace standard. Should be very familiar with this by now. Here's main. An integer named number. We ask the user for an integer. Let's go back to tracking things in Excel. Ask the integer for number. We have number. Here it gets declared. The user is going to put 1 in, and I'm going to say my number is 3. So here I actually input 3. Here I input 3. And then we're going to get an output that said he played knick-knack. So if number equal 1, is number equal to 1 in our case? It is not. It's 3. So we don't execute this code. Is it equal to 2? It is not. So we don't execute this code. Is it equal to 3? It is. So we should get he played knick-knack up there and then on his knee. Now we don't do any of the rest of these, right? So then we exit and we just return 0. Straightforward. So let's build it. Debug it. I said 3. We entered 3. He played knick-knack on his knee. We're good. If I don't put a number in that matches those, I should fall to the else statement. So we should get he played knick-knack. Whoa, he doesn't play knick-knack there. So let's go and try it. Start without debugging again. 200. He played knick-knack. Whoa, he doesn't play knick-knack there. Behaved as we thought it would. So that's 3.1. Let's look at 3.2, which has some nested statements. So same here, pound include IOStream using namespace standard. We have number again. Doesn't have a value initially. Program will tell you if your number is positive and between 1 and 10. So this is the flowchart example we just looked at. Please enter a whole number. 9 happens to be one of my favorite numbers. 32 is the other. So we say we entered 9. If your number is greater than 0, it is. So we should have the number as positive in our output. And then it meets this condition as well. So that we should get it is between 1 and 10. And we're done. This else statement doesn't get executed. Return 0 means everything executed, good operating system, we're good. So we're going to build the program. And there it is. Debug, start without debugging. I said I wanted the number to be 9, and the number is positive. It's between 1 and 10. If it's not, if I put a negative number in, we should just go directly to the else because this first condition was not met, and we should get the number is not positive. So let's do that. Negative 10, number is not positive. And finally, let's do a positive number that's not between 1 and 10. We should just get the number is positive, like 11. Number is positive. Good to go. All right, that's it for this SuncatByte. I know it was a lot, so you may have to play this back a couple times, but if statements in combination with our relational and conditional operators, very powerful stuff that allows you to start making some decisions in your program. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, lab hours, discussion board forum, or email. And that's it for now. I will talk to you all soon. Bye.